Okay. So in the last lecture, we have started with this particular new point, which is called as the working conditions. If you go through this particular point once again, so what is meant by the working conditions? So that working condition represents the working environment where the operators are working or the workers are working. So means sometimes the workers are working in the cold region, sometimes the workers are working in the hot region. So sometimes they are working in different types of departments. Maybe production department is there, maybe some inspection department is there, some workers are working in the chemical department. So there are so many compartments, so many sections are there where the workers are working. But whenever they are working in that particular environment or in which condition they are working, that environment, it also plays very, very important role under the ergonomic concept. Therefore, based on this, wherever that worker is working in that particular environment, that environment should be comfortable. That environment should be comfortable, so that operator or that worker can work in the effective manner. So this is the requirement of the working condition, and based on this, that working condition is furtherly divided into the two factors. That is, first one is a physical and second one is called as a psychosocial. The physical factor means, in that particular physical factor, all the factors which are related to the human bodies, means whatever the lighting is provided in the industry, which type of ventilation is provided, whether any noise are generated, whatever the unwanted noise are generated in that particular industry, it will also affects on the performance of the operator. Also, working temperature. So wherever some heavy duty applications are there, maybe if we take the example of hardening, tempering, where there are very hot regions are there. So in that, the workers has to work, but whenever he is working, he should be comfortable. Rather than this particular physical factor, some another factors are also there. That is, you have to develop the motivational work. You have to develop the motivational work, or wherever they are working, the motivational working environment should be there. Means there is a proper relation between the workers, supervisors and the managements are there, so that workers can work in the effective manner. In addition to that, whatever the working hours are there, maybe 8 to 10 hours they have to work. Then in between, after 2 or 3 hours, you have to provide some breaks. Maybe short break is there, and the break for lunch. Then shift system is also provided in the industries, and important thing is related to the health and the safety. So wherever that operator is working, they have to take the care of that particular health, because some unwanted operations are there which are very hazardous to that particular human beings, or it is hazardous to that particular operator. So while working in such condition, in such an environment, the health care should be also taken. And in addition to that, wherever the workers are working, some safety devices are also to be provided. Maybe some goggles are there, helmets are there, hand gloves are there, some aprons are there. That safety devices we have to provide. Now we'll start with the first physical factors. That is, in that, these are the different types of the factors which are considered under the physical factor. That is noise and vibration. Then illumination means lighting provided in the industry. Which type of light is provided? Whether high intensity light is provided or whether low intensity light is to be provided. So this is the basic requirement. Then thermal conditions. So in that, we have to consider the temperature effect, humidity effect and the airflow effect. So if the operators are working in the hot region, so that particular temperature should be comfortable to that particular worker, because if the temperature is increases beyond the limit, our normal body temperature is near about 30 to 35, or maximum we can consider 36. If your temperature is increases more than 40, 45, then that particular temperature will not be suitable to the operator. That means in working condition, it will create the problem. Then humidity. Humidity is also plays very important role whenever we are working in the industry, and important is that airflow. So the proper airflow should be there. Wherever the ventilations are required, you have to provide the ventilations. Wherever the airflows are required, you have to provide the proper airflows. Whatever the windows are required, whatever the doors are required, so that doors, windows are provided at the proper location, so that workers can be worked in the effective manner. Then ventilation. This is very important thing. If I will take the example of chemistry lab, in the chemistry lab, so we are doing the so many chemical reactions. So due to that, different types of the smells are to be generated. So what is the requirement of the chemistry lab? We have to provide the exhaust fan. So due to that particular exhaust fan, whatever the unwanted smells are there, it can be sent to the environments. An important thing, another last is a hazardous working condition. So as we know that in the industry, we are doing some heavy duty applications. Maybe if we take the example of press machines or the hammering machines, so that are very hazardous to the human beings. So wherever such types of the working conditions are there, at that time we have to give the proper protection devices and some additional necessary equipments we have to provide. So these are the factors which are considered under the physical factor. All those particular factors are correlated with the human bodies. Whenever that particular working, all these factors are correlated with the human bodies. So one by one we will start. Now first one is a noise and vibration. What is the basic definition of noise? Simply, it is the unwanted sound which is to be generated. It is the unwanted sound which is to be generated, and that particular noise are having some short-term effect and the long-term effect on the human performance. Noise means it is unwanted sound which is to be generated. Why such types of the noise are generated? Because maybe if you are working in inspection department where the measurement is going on, and near to the inspection department, if your production department is there, where there are so many noise are generated because the production department is there. Maybe some hammering operations are there, some press operations are there, punching operations are there. But whenever we are working in the inspection department, the noise coming from the production department, it will be affects on the performance where the operators are working in the inspection department, because we have to do the inspection means we have to go for the measurement. So whatever the small components are there or whatever the big components are there, we have to focus on the concentration. Some measurements are there where we have to provide a good concentration. In high concentration, in high accuracy, we have to go for the measurement. But during measuring, during working in the inspection department, the unwanted sound are coming from that particular production department, and it will be affects on the performance. That means that noise is having some short-term effect also, and as well as it is having the long-term effect. Short-term effect, that's why I have given the example. Your production department and the inspection departments are near to each other, and the noise coming from the production department, it will be affects on the operators, those who are working in the inspection department. And what is the long-term effect? So if the such types of the noise are again and again and they are generated, and it will create the problems to the operator after a few years, where that operators are working. After that few years, it will be affects on the human body also, because every day we have to sustain that particular noise every day, every time, whenever we are working in the industry. So if you take the long-term effect, that unwanted noise, it will be affects on the human performance, or after a few years, it will be affects on the human body. Therefore, here the noise is also one of the important factor which will be affects on the performance of the operators or the workers. Or if you take another example, that is your industry is located nearby the airports. Now, if you take the example of airport, so if you have heard the noise of that particular aeroplanes, the engine noise is very high. It is more than 130, 150 decibel. So that particular noise, it will not possible to sustain. So noise coming from the aeroplane engine, it is very high. Its intensity is very high. And if you have to work in that particular industry with such types of the noise, it will be affects on the performance. Therefore, that noise is having some short-term effects as well as it is having some long-term effects. Then second is part of the vibration. The vibration is also one of the part of noise. As we know that what is meant by the vibration, whenever we are working on any type of machine, maybe some faulty operations, maybe some unwanted operations, vibrations of the machine is taking place. And that vibration is also affects on the performance. Therefore, as we know that whatever the vibration level is there, that vibration level should be below 20 hertz. Whatever the vibrations are generated in the machine, maybe some unwanted vibrations are generated, that level should be below 20 hertz. If it is there, then we can work in effective manner. But if your level is increases more than 20 hertz, at that time it will be affects on the performance, because unwanted operations are to be taking place, and due to that unwanted operations, what happen? The machine is also going to vibrate. If the machine is continuously in vibrating conditions, at that time it will be affects on the performance of the operator, or he is not doing proper operations on that particular machine. Therefore, these noise and vibrations are also having some adverse effect on the performance of the operator. Then these are some source of the noises. So as I have given the example, if your industry is present near to the airport, so near to that particular airports, some high decibel noise are there, and it will be affects on the performance. Maybe some indoor sources are there, some outdoor sources are there. The outdoor sources I have given the example, that is airport, whenever, or sometimes your industry is located near to the constructions, wherever the constructions are going on. In that particular construction also some unwanted noises are to be generated. So these are the outdoor. Indoor means if we are working on any machine and another machine is create the problem on your performance. Maybe you are working on the lathe machine, and near to the lathe machine another drilling machine is there, but that drilling machine is create so many problems because there are so many noise generated from the drilling machine. We are not working on the drilling machine, then also the noise coming from the drilling machine is affects on your performance. So these are the indoors which is to be taking place inside the industry, and outdoor sources means airports, some construction sites, another the noise coming from the another industries. These are the outdoor sources. And here some level of the noise is also represented. For example, whatever the example I have given, the aircraft or airlines are there, it is having the intensity is about 140 dB decibel, 140 decibel. Then riveting on the steel plates, if we have to perform the rivet operation on the steel plate, its capacity or its intensity is 130. Then train on the steel bridge, that is 110. Then waving sheet 100. Heavy road traffic 85 decibel. Light road traffic this 55 decibel. So these are the different types of the levels which is to be generated from the different types of the source. Maybe sometimes if we are in traffic, we are in the light road traffic, but there are so many horns which are coming from the backside. That time that horns are also affects on our performance. That means its capacity is near about 55 only, approximately 55 decibel, but that 55 decibel is also affects on our human body. But if your industries are near to the airlines, aircrafts, and its capacity is near about 140, then how it is possible to sustain that 140 decibel noise which is generated from that particular aircraft? Therefore, here this of the noise from which sources it is to be generated and how it will be affects on the performance of the operators and the workers. Therefore, you have to locate your industry near to the such region where unwanted noise should not be generated. Maybe if you have to go for the inspection department should be far away from the production department. Therefore, unwanted noise should not be generated. So this is the basic requirement where we have to reduce that particular noise. Then effects of the noise and the vibration. As I have told, wherever the noise are generated, wherever the vibrations are to be taking place, it will be affects on the performance of the operator. So here I have written that is the stamping, cutting, press works are often segregated in one part of the factory so that remainder of the plant may be kept relatively free from the noise. So stamping operation, cutting operation, then press operation, all such types of the operations can be located at one location only. So where the large amount of noise is to be generated, and if the such types of the noise is generated, we have to focus how that particular noise should be eliminated or it should be the reduced. Then large number of employees are affected and where work requires a high degree of concentration and attention. I have given the example of inspection department. Inspection means we are checking the dimensions. While checking the dimensions of that particular job, very high concentration and very high attention is required. Okay, but during that, if unwanted noise is coming from the another department, at that time we are unable to concentrate. It is not possible to give the full attention to that particular inspection department. So this is the adverse effect of the noise and the vibration which is coming from the other department. It will be effects on the performance, but rather than this, some another effects are also there. It will be effects on the human body also. So some of the workers are there, they are having the problem of the blood pressure, they are having the problem of the sugar. So like that, whatever the unwanted noise are to be generated, it will be affects on the blood pressure, then sweating, heat rate, respiration, then there is some muscular concentration. That means overall you can say that it will be affects on the human body also. It will be not affects on only performance of the body. That unwanted noise, unwanted vibrations are affects on the human body also. Maybe there may be possibility of high blood pressure. This is the important effect. Then noise causes the disturbance with consequent reduction in the productivity, efficiency, and the accuracy. If due to the unwanted noise and vibrations, if that operator is not works in the effective manner, if his performance will get decreases, he is unable to concentrate, he is unable to give the full attention, automatically that effect of the noise and vibration will be affects on the productivity. Because if the workers are not works in the effective manner, there may be possibility of increasing the production time, there may be possibility of increasing the production cost. So if the production time, production cost is increases, overall it will be affects on the productivity efficiency of that particular industry. Therefore, these are the effects of the noise and the vibrations, which are having effects on the human performance, human body. Also, it will be effects on the overall productivity and the efficiency of that particular organization or the industry. So this is the first factor, that is noise and vibration. Then these are the noise and vibration controls. So if that unwanted noise are generated, no problem. Some press machines are there, some hammers are there, noise is to be generated, no problem. But what care should be taken? So here, to reduce that particular noise, covering the seals and walls with acoustic board. So if we have to reduce that particular noise, whatever the from the four sides, whatever the walls are provided on that particular walls, we have to provide some acoustic board. So due to that particular acoustic board, what happened? Whatever the intensity is coming out from that particular department, that intensity will get decreases. Without acoustic board, if intensity is coming near about 100 decibel, but if I will provide some acoustic board, maybe intensity will be decreased from 80 to 70, 60. Means by somewhat, the level of the noise is to be reduced. Therefore, wherever it is possible on that particular walls, we have to provide some acoustic boards or the acoustic materials, due to which the level of the noise is to be reduced. Then second, enclosing noisy equipment such as automatic punch press with solid walls and the sound absorbing material. Give an example, that is noisy equipment. For example, if you take the example of punching, if you take the example of punching or the punching machines or the press machines, where some amount of noise is to be generated. So such types of the machines can be provided in the solid walls. That means wall is perfectly solid. Solid. There should not be any open space. There should not be any window. There should not be any door should be provided, but there should not be unwanted windows. It should be provided. If the small window is to be provided, the noise is coming from that particular window also. Therefore, in a such condition, we have to provide the closed walls, or that particular walls can be closed by some absorbing materials. So that particular absorbing materials can absorb that unwanted noise, and the level of the noise can be decreases. So these are the some controls. Then the walls are to be designed so that they can open up to servicing and adjusting the equipments. So it can be designed in such way that it can be open up to the servicing. Whenever it is possible to go for the maintenance, it can be openable as per the adjustment of the equipments. So this is the requirement. Then use baffles, sound absorbers, acoustic treatment of the walls, ceilings, floors can reduce the sound reflection. So wherever that noisy operations are there, some noisy machines are there, at that time we have to use some baffles. These are the materials: baffles, sound absorber materials, some acoustic treatment of the walls. These are the different types of the materials which will be provided in that particular department, due to which will be provided in that particular department, due to which your level of the soil can be decreases. Then in the server noise situations, the worker should provide with personal protective devices such as earphones, air muffs, and the helmets. So wherever the operators are working at the noisy operations, at that time we have to provide the air plugs. So whatever the headphones we are using, similarly the headphones or the earplugs are also provided to that particular worker where some noisy operations are there. So due to that particular earplugs, the intensity of the noise which is coming from the machine, it will get decreases, and there should be the less adverse effect on the human body. Therefore, that earplugs, air muffs, helmets, these are the safety devices which is to be provided where the operators are working, workers are working in the noisy operations. So this is about the noise and vibration control. So we have discussed the different types of the source of the noises, their effects on the human performance, human body, also overall development of the organization, and if we have to control that particular noise and vibration, which types of the ceilings, which types of the acoustic boards, which types of the walls it should be provided, so the noise level can be decreases. And in addition to that, we have to provide some air plugs, air muffs, helmets, means safety devices to that particular operator, so he can work in the effective manner without taking the without taking any adverse effect from the noise and the vibrated machine. So this is about the noise and vibration control. Okay, just wait. Okay, now next is the illumination. What is mean by the illumination? Simple. In bracket I have written lighting. Whatever the lighting is provided in the industry. So as per the requirement, that lighting should be provided. So here I have written, when the human activities are carried out outdoor and at the night, when we are performing your job at outdoor or we are performing the job at night, it is necessary to provide some sort artificial illumination. Means it is necessary to provide the artificial lighting, depends upon the type of work to be performed. Then size of the object, accuracy, speed, duration of the work, etc. So whenever we are working, if we are working at outdoor, if we are working at the night, as per the requirement, that lighting should be provided, and it should be provided based on the work to be performed. For example, if we are performing the job related to the heavy duty applications, so in that particular heavy duty application, the high intensity light should not be provided, because that high intensity light should be affects on the performance of the operator. Because if the mercury lamps or the mercury lights are provided in the industry, and when we will look to that particular mercury lamp, it will create the problem to the eye. If you take the example of cricket stadium, in that particular cricket stadium, that mercury lamps are available at the outside of that particular ground. So if we look at to that particular ground, we can look very easily. But at that time, if we look at to that particular lamp, so due to that high intensity, it will be affects on your eye. Similarly, if we are working in heavy duty applications, at that time it is not required to provide the high intensity light, because that high intensity light will be affects on the human body. Also, size and shape of the object, accuracy, speed. Now, if you take the example of inspection department, where the measurement of all the types of job is going on. So during that, high concentration, high attention is required. But if we have to measure very small dimensions, at that time, what is the requirement? The high intensity light should be provided in the inspection department, because my requirement is that I have to measure the very small dimensions. And if the intensity of light or the brightness of light is not proper, so at that time I am unable to measure that particular small dimensions. So wherever it is necessary to provide the high intensity light, you can provide. If in any of application, in any of department, the high intensity light is to be not required, so need not required to provide that particular light. Therefore, this illumination and lighting, it will also affects on the performance of the operator. So wherever the heavy duty applications are there, we can provide the normal light, where that light should not be affects on the performance of that particular operator, and that operator can be works in the effective manner. Wherever the high intensity light is required to measure the small dimensions, full attention is required, full concentrations are to be required at that location, we have to provide the high intensity light. Also, some unwanted lights are also available. Maybe some red lights are available, so some green lights are available in the industry for the indication purpose. That red light is mostly affects on the performance of the operator, because if you look at to that particular red light, immediately it is having some adverse effect on our eye. So similarly, it will be also affects on the operator. Therefore, wherever it is necessary, you can provide that particular different types of signal light, maybe red light, then yellow light, green light. This is for indication purpose, but wherever it is required, we can provide. But it is not required, it is not to be provided in that particular industry, so it will not be affect on the performance. Therefore, illumination, lighting, which type of lighting is to be provided, that factor is also considered under the ergonomics. So whenever we are providing the lighting at that time, these are the three factors we have to consider. First one is a sufficient brightness. If you take the example of our mobile phone, now in our mobile phone we are having some adjustable brightness, and nowadays that auto brightness, that one button is also available. Auto brightness means if we press that particular button, as per the environmental condition, when we are at home, that automatically that brightness will be adjusted. When we will go outside your room, or maybe in the summer region, at that time automatically that brightness will get adjusted. So that sufficient brightness, it should be provided to that particular industry through this particular light. Uniform illumination. Uniform illumination means the light is fitted at one corner, and it will give the illumination at that corner only. At another side, at right side, at the left side, it is to be not visible. So wherever it is to be required, if the four lights are required at the four corners, we can provide the four lights at the four corners, because as per the requirement. If only one light is sufficient in that particular compartment, we can provide only one. But if one light is to be provided, one lamp is to be provided, he should give the proper illumination at each and every corner. That means whatever the illumination, whatever the intensity is present at the right side, same intensity should be provided at the left side. So this is the requirement, that is uniform illumination should be provided in that particular lighting. And third one, a contract between brightness of the job and the background. So wherever we are working on any type of job, means we are performing so many operations on that particular job, whatever the background portion is provided, to that particular job, it is also plays very important role. If we are measuring the dimensions, and wherever we are measuring the dimension, below that particular dimensions, if some dark color is present on that particular table, so at that time that particular dark color will be affects on the concentration of that particular worker. So wherever it is possible, whatever the colors are provided to that particular table, colors is provided for the instruments, it should be light one. So without any adverse effect, that operator can take that particular instrument and he can measure the dimensions. So this is the basic requirement of that particular illumination. That is, that illumination lighting should provide the uniform brightness. There should be the uniform illumination, and there should be the proper contact between brightness of the job and their background. So this is the basic requirement of the lighting illumination, and we have to provide that particular lighting depends upon the work to be performed. Which type of work we have to perform? It depends. Size of the object. If big size objects are available, the high intensity is not required. If the job or the object is having very less dimensions, at that time the intensity of the light has to be required. That means as per the requirement of that particular workstation, we have to provide the illumination and the lighting. Then factors affecting on the visual performance. Factors affecting on the visual performance. Whenever we are looking to any type of job, which types of the factors are affecting? For example, we are looking to the at any corner where the displays are provided. At that time, some of the adverse effects are there which are affects on our performance. We are unable to see that particular display in the proper way. So which are the effects? Let us see. The normal performance depends upon the eye-brain system at its optimum efficiency and be able to provide the normal vision. So whenever we are looking towards that particular display, it depends upon your eyes. When we are looking towards that particular display, your eye should be fully concentrated on that particular display. But if that display is not properly visible, or sometimes we are looking towards that particular display and some unwanted light is coming towards your eye, one light is provided near to that particular display, and instead of focusing on that particular display, my focus is moving towards that particular light. Means whatever the extra lights are provided, that light is affects on your visual performance. Means we are unable to see that particular display properly. Why? Because unwanted noise is coming towards your eye brain system. So these are the some adverse effects which are affects on your performance. Then color blindness. I have given the example. If any dark colors are represented in front of you, wherever we are working, maybe color of the instrument, color of that particular machine, color of that particular workstation, that color is also affects on your performance. Therefore, wherever it is necessary, we can provide the dark colors, no problem. But unnecessarily, if that particular dark color will be affects on the performance of the operator, so that particular dark color should not be provided in the workstation. So it can be affects on the performance of that particular operator. Then visual adaptation to the light level is important mechanism. Visual adaptation to the light level, whatever the light levels are to be provided, it should be adjustable. That's why I have given the example. Some high intensity light, sometimes it will be affects on the performance of the operator. And sometimes without high intensity light, it is not possible to work. So there should be some adaptation to in that particular light levels. Or nowadays, some different types of the lights are also available where we can control their intensity. As per requirement, we can make its intensity high. As per our requirement, we can make its intensity low. So these are the some adverse effect which will be affects on the visual performance. म्हणजे काय, ज्या ठिकाणी आपण बघत असतो त्या ठिकाणी बघताना जर एखादा कुठला तर ऍडव्हर्स इफेक्ट आपल्या डोळ्यावर जर इफेक्ट करत असेल, तर ज्या गोष्टीकडे आपल्याला बघायचं आहे, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू सी प्रॉपरली. आपण त्या गोष्टीकडे व्यवस्थित बघू शकत नाही. का? तर अनवॉन्टेड लाईट इज कमिंग आणि ती आपल्या डोळ्यावर काय करते, इफेक्ट करते. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज ए फॅक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग ऑन द व्हिज्युअल परफॉर्मन्स. सो then external factors affecting includes luminance, contrast, quality, amount of illumination, time of observation, movement, size of the objects, and the glare. I have given example. Luminance, contrast means related to the which type of brightness is to be provided, then quality of the light, then amount of the illumination, time of the observation. If we are performing any job and continuously, if we have to observe that particular job continuously for the 15 minutes and we are unable to concentrate. Why? Because some unwanted lights are creates the problem. That means it is not possible to observe that particular job continuously for the 15 minutes. Means that particular unwanted light, their brightness, their quality, it will be affects on your performance. So the light should be provided in such a way that as per the requirement of that particular operator, their intensity, their level, their quality should be maintained. So these are the factor effects which are affects on your visual performance. These are the factors totally related to the operator or the human body. These are all the factors which are affects on the human body only. It will be not affects on the performance of the machine. It will be not affects on the performance of the workstation. It will be affects on the performance of the operator, worker, or the human body. Then principles involved in improving the visual performance. So if I have to increase the visual performance, so what I have to take those. So these are the two principles which are represented in front of you. That is, since the time is required for an eye to adjust, design should avoid the need to identify the visual information at widely different distances or in slightly different illumination level. So what they tell, the time required to an eye to adjust design should avoid the need to identify the visual information. So if we are looking towards any type of display, so if I have to observe that particular display or if I have to observe that particular output continuously for 10 to 15 minutes, if I have to observe that particular display continuously for the 10 to 15 minutes, so as per the requirement, whatever the lighting is to be provided, it should be adjustable. So whatever the different types of the levels are there, qualities are there, their intensity is to be there, it can be adjustable. And second, minimize the extent of eye movement required to resolve the visual information by arrangement of display rather than reducing the size of the details. So minimizing the extent eye movement. Sometimes what happens when we are looking to the display, continuously your eye movement is taking place from right to left, top to bottom, again from right to left, again from top to bottom. So due to that particular situation, what happens? It is not possible to take that particular output in the proper way, or it is not possible to see that particular display continuously for the 10 to 15 minutes because unnecessarily that movement of the display is to be taking place, and accordingly the extent eye movement is also taking place from right to left, left to right. Continuously that eye movement is to be taking place. If such types of the eye movement is to be taking place continuously, at that time we are also unable to concentrate. Therefore, in a such a condition, what we have to do, instead of reducing the size of that particular display, so whatever the numbers are to be provided, maybe circular scale reading is there, some linear scale reading is there, the size of that particular scale we have to increase. डिस्प्लेची साईज वाढवण्यापेक्षा काय करायचं, त्याच्यावर जे काही रेडिंग दिलेले असतील किंवा जे काय सर्क्युलर स्केल, हॉरिझॉन्टल स्केल, पॉइंटर वगैरे जे काय दिलेले असतील, that size we have to increase. So if we apply this particular two principles at that time, there may be possibility to improve your visual performance. So these are the two principles. The next important factor is the thermal condition. In the thermal conditions, the three factors are to be considered. One is temperature, humidity, and the airflow. I have given the example of temperature. So here you can see the poor heat and humidity condition produces the thermal stresses in the worker, which affects on their efficiency, concentration, and the dexterity or their members of the body. So poor heat and the humidity conditions. If you take the example of temperature, the normal temperature of the body is near about 35 to 36. But if the temperature is increases more than 40 to 45, at that time, in that particular temperature, it is not possible to work in the industry. Or sometimes if the temperature is decreases less than 18, 15, that means very cold region is there. In the cold region also, it is not possible to work in the effective manner. So means high temperature as well as low temperature, both the temperature will be affects on the performance of the human body. Therefore, it will be affects on the efficiency and the concentration of that particular human body. So the working temperature of near about 60 to 60 degree Fahrenheit, 60 to 60 degree Fahrenheit. That's why I have given the example in case of degree Celsius near about 35 to 36. This is the normal temperature of the body in which we can work in the effective manner. But sometimes the temperature can be increases as per the nature. If you take the example of summer, at the morning temperature will be different. Near about 12 to 1 p.m. the temperature is very high, and at 4 to 5 p.m. again temperature is to be decreases. That means according to the nature of the work or according to the environmental condition, sometimes temperature is increases, sometimes temperature is to be decreases. So that increasing temperature is also affects on the human body. Decreasing temperature also affects on the human body. So these are the adverse effect of that particular temperature. Humidity and heat are related to each other. Both affects comfort and tolerances of the human body. Humidity and the heat. Humidity is also plays very important role. So if you take the example of that particular maybe if you take the example of the big city Mumbai, in that particular Mumbai there is a very high humidity at the morning. So in that particular humidity it is not possible to work. Means that high humidity is also affects on the human body. And last one is called as air flows. So air flows means the proper ventilation should be there. So wherever it is required, we have to provide some windows, doors. So the fresh air will become from the environment. And in addition to that, wherever the exhaust fans are required, that exhaust fan should be provided. Therefore, whatever the unwanted airs are to be generated in that particular compartment, that unwanted air, it can be sent to the environment. So in case of a thermal conditions, that is temperature, humidity, and the air flows. Temperature, humidity, and the air flows, these are also effects on the human body. If you take the example of in 1 year, basically there are 3 seasons are there. One is the rainy season, second is winter, and third one is the summer. If you think about now, you just think about only winter and the summer. In winter, the temperature is very less, very cold region is there. And in the winter region, what we are thinking? In winter region, what we are thinking? That is, there should be some increasing temperature. There should be some increasing temperature due to which that cold region can be decreases and I will be comfortable. In summer region, what we are thinking? There should be some cold region. So we are starting the fans, we are using the coolers, we are using the water coolers, we are using the ACs. Means the human body is not comfortable in the winter region, human body is not comfortable in the summer also. As per his requirement, we have to maintain that particular temperature. That means in summer, we want the cold air. In winter, we want some hot region. So that particular human body should be comfortable. Similarly, in case of an industry also, wherever the operators are working, maybe sometimes, as we know that some high temperature applications are there. Maybe, the hardening, tempering, then some another hammering operations are there where we have to hit that particular job. And wherever that particular operators are working near to that particular job, or if you take the example of casting process, in that particular casting, what we have to do? We have to melt that particular job, or we have to melt that particular raw material, and that particular molten metal we have to pour in that particular cavities. So whenever we are working in that particular casting department, the temperature is very high. So at that time, sometimes the workers are not comfortable to work in that particular temperature. Sometimes it has to be work, it is the requirement. But sometimes if the temperature is increases beyond the limit, at that time it is not possible to work in that particular department. So therefore, what is the requirement? As per the requirement of that particular human body, we have to maintain the temperature. If you take the example of inspection department means where we have to go for the measurement of that particular job. So some of the equipments are there. That equipments are also required some air conditioner airs, because highly sensitive instruments are there. That highly sensitive instrument, it is not possible to keep at open environment. It is not possible to keep. We have to keep that particular instruments in the air conditioning compartments only. If I have to operate that particular instrument, that operator will be enters into that particular inspection department, but due to that particular extra cold air, that operator will not work in that particular compartment. The requirement of the machine, very cold region is required. But in that particular cold region, it is not possible to work, or it is not possible to work in that particular compartment. So at that time, it is not possible to go for measurement because very cold region is there. Means if you take the example of cold region, if you take the example of hot region, the human body will be not incompatible. Therefore, in case of industry also, we have to maintain this particular temperature, humidity, and airflows in the proper way. And if you think about the humidity, humidity should not be exceed more than 70%. Generally, humidity should not be exceed more than 70%. If it is increases more than 70%, maybe it will be effects on the human body or the human performance. Therefore, wherever it is necessary, you have to maintain that particular humidity less than 70%. You have to maintain that particular temperature as per the requirement. Normal body temperature is near about 35 to 36. So that our the temperature in that particular department, it should be near about 37 to 38. It should not be less than 20 degrees Celsius because it should not be also accepted by the human body. Therefore, wherever the operators, the workers are working, you have to maintain this particular three parameters: temperature, humidity, and the airflows, and which are called as a thermal conditions. Then next, effects of the heat can be minimized. So wherever that particular temperatures are to be generated, if we have to minimize that particular effects, what care should be taken? The first one, shielding, isolation, isolating heat sources to reduce the direct transmission of radiations of heat between body and the heat sources. So if any hot job is present near to the human body, at that time, whatever the isolations are coming, whatever the radiations are coming from that particular hot job, it will be effects on the human body. At that time, some protecting devices are there, some isolating shields are there, some another different types of the aprons are there. That aprons or that particular shields we have to wear. So whatever the intensity is coming from that particular hot job, it will get reduced and we can work in the effective manner. In installation and provision for adequate local ventilation to get right smoke fumes. The proper ventilation should be provided. Therefore, whatever the smokes fumes are generated in that particular department, that foams smokes will be effects on the performance of the human body. Therefore, wherever that smokes and fumes are to be generated, at that time, some ventilation, some exhaust fans should be provided. If we visited to any type of industry, or if we visited to our workshop, at the top position of that particular workshop, some rotating elements are there. These are called as ventilation. So due to that particular ventilations, some unwanted fumes and smokes, it can be sent to the environment and it will be not affects on that particular performance. And last, permits rest pauses in cool extreme hot conditions. If the temperature is increases beyond the limit, if the temperature is decreases beyond the limit, at that time we have to take the rest pauses, because sometimes the increasing temperature and the decreasing temperature, it will be defects on the work to be performed, or sometimes it will be effects on the environmental condition. If the temperature is increases beyond the limit, and if it is not possible to control, we have to take the pause, we have to stop that particular work, and once the temperature decreases, then and then we can stop, then and then we can start your further work. If the temperature decreases beyond the limit, that means very cold region is there. In that particular cold region, it is not possible to work. Again, we have to stop that particular work, we have to take the rest, and once the temperature is increases as per the requirement of that particular human body, again we have to start that particular work. So if we will apply this particular three principles in the industry, then there may be possibility to reduce the adverse effect of the temperature, humidity, and the airflow. So these are the three principles which we have to implement in order to avoid the effect of temperature only. Wherever the heats are to be generated, we have to give some protective devices, we have to provide some shields. Then whatever the smokes, fumes are to be generated, for that purpose, proper ventilation should be there. And if the temperature increases beyond the limit, if the temperature decreases beyond the limit, we have to stop that particular work at that position, and afterwards we can start that particular work once the proper temperature is to be maintained. So if we apply this particular three principles, we can reduce the effect. And then this is the ventilation. So what is meant by the ventilation? See, ventilation is the process of displacement of state of air of the building by the fresh air to reduce the presence of bad odor, CO2 concentration, humidity, and the temperature. Ventilation, because if you take the example of chemical industry. In the chemical industry means we are doing the so many chemical reactions. So by mixing the chemicals 1 and 2, 2 to 3, so unwanted bad odors, unwanted some smells are to be generated and it will be affects on the performance. Also, if you take the example of CO2, which will be generated from some of the machineries, at that time, that CO2, that bad odor, it will be affects on that particular human body. So what is the requirement? The proper ventilation should be provided. So the ventilation includes some windows are there. Wherever it is required, we have to provide some big windows. So due to which the fresh air should be come from the environment and through the exhaust fan. Whatever the bad air is to be there in that particular compartment, it will be sent to that particular environment. Then exhaust fan. Here I have given exhaust fan extract the state air and creates low pressure area to be filled by that particular fresh air. So wherever the fresh air is to be required, we can take that particular fresh air from the windows and from the doors, and whatever the unwanted airs are to be present in that particular compartment, that unwanted air it can be sent to the environment by using the different types of the exhaust fan. Therefore, whenever we are visiting to the any type of industry, we have to observe that particular ventilation devices at the top, where that particular sheet metals are provided at the top. So if you take the example of our workshop, in our workshop also, there is some rotating element is there. So that rotating elements, what he is doing, so whatever the unwanted fumes, smokes are to be generated, it will be sent to the university and the fresh air is continuously coming from the windows. So if you visit to the any type of industry at that time, in that particular industry, such types of the ventilation devices are to be provided. Therefore, this ventilation is also plays very important role. Okay, so these are the different physical factors which we have discussed today. So which are the physical factors? Noise and the vibrations. Then second is illumination. Then third one is thermal condition. In that thermal condition, we have discussed the three parts, that is temperature or the heat, then humidity and the air flows. Then this is the last, that is ventilation. So these are the different types of the physical factors which will affect on the overall performance of the human body or the overall performance of the operator. These particular physical factors, these are not generated by the human body. Automatically, the noise and vibrations are coming from the machines. Whatever the lighting is to be provided, automatically it will be generated. Whatever the temperature is increases, decreases, humidity increases, decreases, automatically it will be generated in that particular industry. But in order to avoid their adverse effect on the human body or the human performance, the proper care should be taken in that particular industry. And this, we are maintaining this particular, all the factor means we are considering the ergonomic factors while designing the industry. We are implementing this particular, all the factors, we are considering this particular factor while designing the industry means we are considering the ergonomics factor. So therefore, these are the physical factors, that is noise, vibration, illumination, temperature, humidity, airflows, ventilations. So these are the some physical factors which we have to maintain at the constant rate. Therefore, all the workers, all the operators, they can work in the effective manner and their efficiency level can be increases. So these are the different types of the factors which we have to consider under the physical factors, and all these factors are the part of the ergonomic consideration. Because ergonomic consideration means, ergonomics means we have to design your workstation, we have to design your machine, you have to design your workplace as per the requirement of the operator, so that operator can work in the effective manner without any fatigue, without any stress, without any stress in his muscles, without any stress in his body. If the operator can work in the effective manner, then and then only your job can be completed in less time, less cost, and there may be possibility to increase the efficiency of your organization or the industry, or to increase the productivity of your organization or the industry. So these are the different working conditions or the working environments which is we have to maintain in that particular industry. So with this, today we will stop here. The remaining part we will take in the next lecture.